The Path to Eudaimonia. James had always believed happiness was something to be pursued, chased like a fleeting shadow just out of reach. Promotions, relationships, financial success. He had ticked all the boxes, yet a deep sense of unease never quite left him. It was on an unplanned trip to Greece, wandering through the ancient ruins of Athens, that he stumbled upon a small bookstore tucked away in a quiet alley. The book he found, an old, worn volume of Stoic philosophy, would change his life forever. Mastering Your Perception. The book spoke of something radical, that reality is shaped not by events, but by our perception of them. James had always seen challenges as obstacles, burdens that weighed him down. But what if they were simply neutral, neither good nor bad, until he assigned meaning to them? Back home, a minor setback at work tested this newfound insight. His proposal was rejected, and frustration bubbled within him. Yet he caught himself. Instead of spiraling into negativity, he reframed the situation. What if this rejection was an opportunity to refine his ideas? He dove back into his work with a fresh perspective. To his surprise, the revised proposal was not only accepted, but praised. The event hadn't changed, only his perception had. As he delved deeper into the principles of Stoicism, James began to see this truth reflected in other aspects of his life. He started applying the concept to relationships, to inconveniences, even to his own failures. What if everything he experienced was simply raw material for his own growth? The more he practiced, the more he found that life's difficulties lost their sting. He was no longer at the mercy of external events, but in control of his own reactions, embracing impermanence. Not long after, James received news that his childhood home had been sold. The house where he had spent his formative years, the place holding his fondest memories, was no longer his to visit. The weight of loss pressed against him. But then he recalled the words of Marcus Aurelius: "Everything is ephemeral." Clinging to the past, resisting change, it only leads to suffering. Sitting with the discomfort, he began to see that change was not his enemy. Just as summer yields to autumn, life moves forward. The home existed in his memories, in the lessons it had given him, and memories could not be taken away. This understanding extended beyond personal attachments. James began to apply the principle to his ambitions, his friendships, even his own identity. He had spent so much time grasping at things, fearing their loss. But impermanence was not something to fear, it was something to embrace. It made life precious. Every moment was fleeting, and that was precisely what gave it meaning. Cultivating Inner Resilience. One evening, a close friend betrayed James's trust. The sting of betrayal was sharp, and anger welled within him. Yet he remembered Seneca's words: "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Pain was not an enemy, it was a teacher. Rather than dwelling on the betrayal, he asked himself, "What can I learn from this?" He saw that expectations had led to disappointment. People were fallible. Did that mean he should close himself off? Number. It meant he should build resilience, anchor his happiness in something internal, not in the actions of others. With time, the wound healed, and James emerged stronger, less shaken by external events. He began to see hardships as a kind of training ground. If he could withstand disappointment, rejection, and failure without losing his composure, what could possibly shake him? He welcomed difficulties as opportunities to strengthen his mind. Each challenge became another step on the path to self-mastery, living with purpose. A few months later, James met an elderly professor at a seminar on ancient philosophy. The man radiated a quiet wisdom, and during their conversation, James confessed his struggles with direction. "I have everything I ever wanted, but I still feel empty." The professor smiled. "Then perhaps you have been chasing the wrong things." That evening, James reflected on his life. He had worked hard, but for what purpose? Was his career aligned with his deeper values? Was he contributing to something greater than himself? With renewed clarity, he shifted his focus. Instead of working solely for financial gain, he sought ways to mentor younger colleagues, to create work that had meaning. He found a deep, fulfilling satisfaction in giving rather than taking. As he explored this idea further, he realized that happiness was not in achieving things for himself, but in what he could offer the world. He'd spent so much time building a life that looked successful, but never asked whether it felt meaningful. He began to align his daily actions with a greater sense of purpose, and in doing so, he found a joy he had never known before. Practicing gratitude. The final shift came in an unexpected moment. On a cold winter morning, sipping coffee as sunlight streamed through his window, James felt something unusual. Contentment. Not excitement, not a fleeting high, but a quiet, grounded joy. He'd spent so much of his life chasing what he lacked that he had failed to appreciate what he already had. From that day forward, he made gratitude a daily practice. Each morning, he noted 3 things he was grateful for. Small things, a conversation, a kind gesture, the warmth of his home. He realized happiness had never been something to chase. It had been right here all along. His relationships deepened as he became more present. He worried less, as he no longer obsessed over what he didn't have. The simple joys of life, fresh air, a good book, a quiet evening, became his treasures. With gratitude, everything in his life took on a richer hue. James's journey was not one of radical external change, but an internal revolution. Perception, acceptance, resilience, purpose, gratitude, these became his compass. And though life still brought its challenges, he met them with a steady heart. Happiness was no longer a destination, it was a way of being. And in that realization, James found true peace. Are you ready to reclaim your power, set boundaries, and live life on your own terms? If this story inspired you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and become part of a community that embraces Stoic wisdom for a stronger, freer mind. Tell us in the comments, have you ever struggled? How did you break free? Your story could inspire someone else on their journey. Like this video if you found value in it. Each like helps us reach more people who need this message of self-respect and inner strength. Together we rise, together we grow. Subscribe now and walk the Stoic path with us.